Getting ready for taxes. Hey, I'm Sticca Snyder with Taxanista, and we're going to talk today about what you need to do if you've done nothing to get ready for taxes this year. Oh, I know, but there's a lot of you out there. So get a pen and paper, or make sure you bookmark and like my page, because I'm going to give you some great information on what you should be doing to get ready for taxes. So, the number one thing you need to do is gather up all of your tax documents. Things like a W-2, 1099. There's lots of 1099s, okay? So, do you have interest or dividends? Do you have investments? Little trick here. So, a lot of them don't mail out their statements until at least middle to end of February. And if they rush them out, unfortunately, sometimes they have to be amended, which means you have to get an amended tax return done. So try not rush your investment statement. Capital gains and losses. You might have sold some mutual funds as well. So look on your statements and make sure that there is a cost basis on there. So you've got what you sold it for, but you got to also look for the cost basis. If there's not one there, start looking for it or call your investment advisor to help you. So we've done wages, interest and dividends, and capital gains. Okay, I guess I'd call that 3, right? Then things like student loans, mortgage interest statement. These are all documents that you're going to get in the mail, emailed, or you're going to be notified that you have to log in and go get the document offline. So if you don't get it mailed, don't think, oh, I didn't get it, I don't have to report it, because that's not the case. And you know that. Come on, let's think common sense, right? So, unfortunately, most financial institutions are having you log in to go get it because they want to get away from snail mail. Do you blame them? I don't. But if you're older and you maybe don't know how to get online, or you don't have an account yet, you might have to reach out to your rep. But just because you don't get a statement, don't assume that you don't have anything to report. Investigate and check it out. Some other statements you might get if you have an HSA. There's usually 2 documents that come if you have an HSA. So start gathering that. HSA, remember, can only be used for medical expenses. So if you use it for something else, or don't do that again, because then it becomes taxable income to you. So let me think what else you might get. Any kind of statement that says important income tax document or tax return documents, anything like that. So that's step number 1, is to gather up all of those documents. Now, step number 2, locate your last year's tax return. If you did it yourself or you just have it digitally, either print it out or pull it up on your screen. Because what you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to look and make sure that everything you had on there for last year, you've got here, and you've collected all those documents. If you are missing anything, start making a list of everybody and everything that you're waiting on. That way you can reach out. The third thing I'd like you to do is, and this really applies if you have a rental property or if you have a small business. And earmark this because I'm going to talk about a small business in a minute. So if you have a rental property and you have a rental agency or a property manager, they probably sent you a statement. So make sure you gather that. If you don't have a rental company, then we have a really great tool if you'd like to use for summarizing your rental income and expenses. And we'll make sure to tell you where you can get that at the end of this video. So gather up things like, obviously, all of your rental income. Any deposit money you receive is not considered income. So if you received a first and last month's deposit, don't add that to your income because technically it's really not yours. Hopefully, they're not going to trash your place, right? And hopefully they'll get it back. Well, I'm hoping that they hope that. I don't know what you hope, but they hope that. Then things like gardeners, gardeners, pool people, anything that you incur to keep that property up, include that. If you have to travel to that property, then you might want to include that as well, maybe if it's in a different state. So gather up all of your rental and your small business expenses. For your small business, If you get a 1099 miscellaneous, which means you're getting paid for services or work you did, but you're not getting taxes withheld. If you get one of those 1099 miscellaneouses and there's income in box 7, okay, non-employee compensation, then that means you're self-employed. So welcome to the workforce, okay? So some people may not think they're self-employed, but they are. So if you have the 1099 miscellaneous, then you're going to need to start organizing your business income and expenses. So we have a handy little sheet also. At the end of the video, we're going to tell you how you can get it. So things like bookkeeping, tax prep, marketing, advertising, office expenses, office supplies, cell phone use, maybe you're in an office space, maybe some travel, mileage, all of those things are deductible on your business. So make sure you gather all that up. So that is the 4th thing. Remember, we're going to gather up all the tax documents. We're going to gather your prior year return. And then we're going to gather up all of your rental and small business stuff for your taxes. So you have your small business, which is really called a Schedule C. So if you are a sole proprietor and even an LLC that's a sole proprietor, meaning it's just you, more than likely you'll file on a Schedule C. So now you've got to fill out this form and you've been incurring expenses all year long. So now it's like, what do I do? Couple of things you can do. I'm going to give you a couple of tricks. So some things you can do would be connect to your bank and download all of your transactions in a CSV file. That way you can sort it by category and then easily code it to the type of expense it is. And what I mean by that is if you can get all of your credit cards, your banks, whatever you did to incur those business expenses into a CSV file, which is really another name for like an Excel file, then you can manipulate that data and make coming up with your categories and your expenses quite a bit more of a breeze. Now, let's say you have a credit union, the dreaded credit union. I know they help you get loans and stuff, but if you're in business, I don't know why business owners do business with credit unions. Now, there could be reasons, so I'm probably going to get some hate mail on this, and I apologize, but they don't have the systems that they do for business banks. So that's my only reason for that. Okay, but let's say you don't. You can only get statements. What you can do is get a fistful of highlighters, all different colors, and then get a list of the categories that your business usually incurs. Most businesses incur these basic expenses. They incur accounting or bookkeeping and tax prep. They incur office expenses, marketing, telephone and internet, things like that. And usually going out networking or meals. So come up with some main categories. Get your highlighters and highlight and assign each category a color. Then take those statements. I like to take all the statements and get rid of all the fluff statements. You know, there's some statements, some pages in there, that have no information. It's got like a reconciliation page that if you don't know what you're doing, you can fill out the reconciliation page on there. Then I would get rid of all those loose pages. Get your highlighter. I would do one category at a time. Don't do 1 month because you want your brain in and really in there thinking of like meals. So you're just seeking out meals for all of those statements. So you'll go through and you highlight them, okay? And then you go through and you find your next category and you go highlight them. I know it sounds very tedious, and it is, but let's face it, you didn't do anything all year. So what do you expect? So I have ideas for you on other things you can do to make the beginning of this year so much better. So watch for that video as well, okay? So you're gonna go through all of your categories and you're gonna highlight. At the end, when you've gone through your categories, you're invariably gonna have items that don't really have a category now. So the best thing to do is maybe come up with another subcategory, or if it's not too much, you can put it in miscellaneous or office. But that way that's a way you can gather up all of your business expenses and put it on the form to make it easy for your tax person. So it's really not that daunting and that difficult. Maybe it's a little scary sometimes, I'll admit. Okay, maybe so. But If you just take these simple steps, set aside a few hours, sit down and get it done. Maybe more than a few hours, maybe several days, a few hours each day. But if you take care of it this way, I assure you it will be a little bit easier. And next year, you need to come up with a better way. Watch for the next episode where I show you how to start this year off and keep it going so much better so you don't have to deal with the dreaded gathering of tax documents at year end. Thanks for checking out this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to see more, just tap right there.